The people of KwaZulu-Natal, rainy weather is now something to fear. During the weekend, the province experienced another bout of severe weather, causing more damage to an already devastated province. Disaster and emergency teams are still on high alert after the rains this past weekend. Evacuations also underway. My colleague, senior reporter Dasen Thathiah, on that story this afternoon, joining us now this hour for an update. Dasen, a very good afternoon to you. I understand the eThekwini mayor speaking a little bit earlier during a briefing. Did he say anything about missing people or any casualties?
Yes, Polisi Kaunda was part of that delegation that was led by the Premier of the province, Sihle Zekalala. He had gone to various areas, particularly on the north side of Durban, but also heading out to the Bluff as well to look at the storm damage. But I want to start here with where I am now. This is in Seat Heights. This is where we, in fact, started our day today. And we were looking at the damage to this road here. This is a main road. It's the last point that the residents have to get access to areas outside of here. It leads them out to the freeway, but this road, as you can see, is severely damaged. So one of the updates that was given by the mayor and the premier was around the work that is being done to fix this. A good sign. The noise that I'm hearing around me, the movement, the machinery, it wasn't like this morning, I can tell you that. So finally there is some movement. Coming back to your question, the good news is that the number of fatalities at this point is still very low, or at least the reports that the province has indicate that it's one person that has passed away sadly in Inanda. Missing people, they don't have any updated numbers yet or no new reports. They are still waiting and relying on communities to bring that information through. You know, the last time around it was those numbers were changing constantly, and although as the days went by we saw those numbers increasing, remember there are still search and rescue teams that are on standby. Even though the ones from other provinces have left, they're still the local ones that are responding to those calls. So hopefully we'll get updated figures. But let's listen into a part of that interview that we had earlier with the eThekwini mayor, Polisi Kaunda.
Those who needed to be evacuated were evacuated using our teams that were on the ground working with communities. We haven't received a report of people who are missing for now, besides the report that the Premier has made reference to of one person from Inanda Waseme who was also discovered on our rivers. That's a person that we can say it's a report that we can confirm, because there is a body which is already in the mortuary. Otherwise, there were no other fatalities reported, as the Premier has alluded to that. The treatment plant, which is behind us, has been severely affected. You'll recall that in the previous disasters in April, we put some remedial measures so that people will start receiving water. So all those have been washed away. So our teams will come back and reinstate some of the work that have been done before to ensure that people do access water in the areas affected. With electricity, many areas which have been affected, we have reinstated them. So we are remaining with few at night yesterday. We are certain that by end of today we'll be certain that all areas will be covered in terms of those which were affected by the recent heavy rains.
Well, as Polisi Kaunda is saying, that there's still a lot of work, of course, to be done. But I understand the Premier, who was standing there in that bite next to Polisi Kaunda, Sihle Zekalala, he spoke as well about the rains this past weekend. What did he have to say?
Well, he said it had a devastating effect on the province. I mean, I don't think I really need to substantiate that when you look at the types of visuals that we've been seeing recently here and in Mploti where we were earlier. He says that it has set the province back, and this is understandably so. Remember, after the April floods, the damage in the province, the infrastructure damage, that ran into hundreds of millions of rand. And now what this has done is it effectively meant that the work that has started has either stalled or had stalled for a brief period of time, or some of the work that was finalized was undone as a result of this, because there wasn't time for those particular areas to be completely ready for use, or for infrastructure to be rebuilt. So it's really set the province back. The damage that has been caused has resulted in a number of evacuations. There's property damage far and wide along the coastal belt in the region of Umhloti. Even here where we are in sea tides, we're not far from the ocean. The M4, which is quite a significant road that leads to different towns along the north coast, that is badly damaged. So there is a lot of work to be done. The Premier saying that work on particularly the roads, for example, are due to get started very soon. I'll now let you listen into a bite from Sihle Zikalala that we got earlier.
We have seen the damage is huge. The first, it's infrastructure on roads, M4, which was already closed due to the fact that the previous floods that took place in April affected the bridge, the Lamesi Bridge. But also the road got affected, severely damaged between Lamesi and Sea Tide, and it is impossible to use that road for a while, for today, and we are working to ensure that we fill that gap or that hole that was eroded, the soil that was eroded there. We'll fill it and ensure that by the end of the day or tomorrow the road is reopened. But you also know that that road will need to be tarred again, and that will take place in the due course. The department will continue to work on that.
Sihle Zikalala, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, speaking to the media a little bit earlier there. Ending that update this hour from senior reporter Dasen Thathiah in Durban.